I'm joined now in the Toyota Solutions studio by the inventor of something called fresh paper, which is helping preserve food for families and farmers around the globe. KAVITA SHUKLA is also a 2013 Toyota Mother of Invention recipient. KAVITA, it's so nice to meet you.
Oh, I'm so excited to be back.
And I'm so glad you brought fresh paper.
Yeah, it's so amazing to be back. I mean, when I first shared fresh paper on stage 4 years ago, I never imagined everything that would happen since. So it's great to be back.
And I want to get to where your company has gone since you were awarded that grant. But first, why don't you tell our audience what fresh paper is and how it all, how the idea came about?
Yeah, so this is it. It's really simple. You can touch
can I
and
touch
smell
it?
So it's this really simple little sheet of paper that's actually infused with organic spices. That's where that scent comes from. And you can just drop this like into your refrigerator drawer, your fruit bowl, anywhere where you store produce, and it can keep everything fresh for up to 2 to 4 times longer. But in places like the developing world or in food banks in the US, it's very difficult to keep food fresh. And you know, today, despite all the technology we have, we lose over 1/3 of our world's food supply to spoilage, and over 1 billion people live without access to refrigeration.
And how much longer does this extend the shelf
life?
Yeah,
it's up to 2 to 4 times, so it's pretty significant. But if you're a food bank or a farmer in the developing world, it can be really transformative.
This smells edible.
Yeah.
To me. Is it made out of something edible?
Yeah, so the whole thing about fresh paper is it's very simple. It's made with edible organic spices. And so it's a really sustainable, but also a very safe and low-cost technology for people really in any part of the world.
Such a simple idea. I understand that you came up with this when you were, what, 10?
Yeah.
You were in middle school?
Yeah, it started as my middle school science project. Okay. So I was 12 and I was visiting my grandma in India, and I accidentally drank some tap water, which can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, I started to panic, and then my grandmother, she went in her kitchen, which was just like a really simple, basic room, and she came back with this like mixture of spices, and it was this like murky brown, like almost brownish tea, and she said, "Oh, just drink this and you should be fine."
Okay.
And I was pretty skeptical. I didn't really know what to do, but I drank it and I ended up not getting sick. And I still remember, for me as a little girl, that moment was just this huge moment because it almost felt like magic. And it really inspired me. It kind of sparked my now lifelong obsession with the spices my grandmother taught me about.
You know, this is something I really want little girls to understand, is how you get from having an idea like that into having a product that is now all over the world, and I understand now it's going to be in Walmart. Yeah. Like, how do you make that jump, and what are the barriers to making that jump?
Yeah, I think for me that is a really critical piece of the story. Because, you know, when I was 12, I'm still amazed that at 12, I really believed that I alone could create something as a little girl that could tackle something as complicated as global hunger. But then as I got older, you know, I got the patent for fresh paper in high school. I won the science fair, and it was like so far beyond anything I could have imagined. And even at that age, at 16, 17, I was really aware that my grandmother, with all of her brilliance, she never had the opportunity to pursue her ideas. And here I was, I had the opportunity to do something really with mine. And so when I got to college, I set out to build a nonprofit. But in the years that came up after that, what I really learned is how hard it can be to give something away for free. And more importantly, I think I started to realize that I was changing, because as I grew older, I started to hear a lot of messages like, you know, you need a lot more funding, you need a lot more experience, a lot more degrees, things that I now know that a lot of young women hear. But I really internalized that, and I think the doubt was almost crippling. So it took me a decade from really when I first started working on this. It took me a decade to find the courage to actually take the next step with my idea.
That's so interesting, because we were interviewing another mother of invention who said she almost quit and said, take the grant money back because I'm a scientist and I don't really know how to do all of this stuff. So I imagine there was a really steep learning curve and a lot of self-learning.
There really was. So the first thing I did was take this idea to the farmer's market. You know, I almost gave up. I really had given up on it. And then I finally I was realizing that I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I started with, I think, $300, and I handmade a batch with my co-founder, and we took it to our local farmers market. And that was a really critical turning point for me, because I realized for the first time I was actually putting my invention in the hands of people who could actually use it and benefit from it. First it was the farmers, and then I realized that people at the farmers market, they wanted to buy it. And that was when I started to realize there might be a way to do a social enterprise, to actually, rather than relying on other people to donate or believe in the idea, I could start to have customers in my my local community help us fund what would become our social mission. So that was a critical turning point. But I think, you know, the next thing that happened was I got invited to Women in the World.
Okay, so let's talk about what, so was that a game changer for you,
Yeah.
receiving this grant?
Yeah, so I was at my local farmers market for I think about 6 months, almost a year. I was in some local co-ops. And then we had just started to get some local coverage, and we were realizing that, you know, maybe there was something that we could do with this idea. And then I heard from Women in the World, and I was told that I was invited to be a Toyota Mother of Invention. And I honestly didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I remember thinking that it would be transformative to receive that kind of grant money.
And the recognition.
Yeah, but I think I had no idea what it would mean to come here, to be able to present my idea on stage at the Lincoln Center. And even though I was terrified, I was so nervous, I had no idea how powerful and passionate this community was. And so I think, you know, within a month, Fresh Paper suddenly was reaching national consciousness. We were getting coverage in the Today Show, by Oprah Magazine, Bloomberg. And then the support from the community was something that really stunned me. I mean, people reached out and kept asking how they could help, and they helped us take this idea to places I could have never imagined.
And now it is huge. Like I said, it's going to be in Walmart. What's the next phase?
Yeah, so we now are reaching 180 countries through a really exciting partnership with Amazon, Fresh Paper's in Walmart, and I actually get to share Fresh Paper and our mission and some of my other innovations with over 90 million households every month on HSN. So that's been really critical for us and very transformative.
Truly a success story. KAVITA SHUKLA, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your advice. Best of luck.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.